Hi, my name is Briana, and I am the Adult Services Programming Assistant here at the Bourbonnais Library. A hobby that I have taken up in the last couple of years is hand lettering, specifically brush lettering, and I would like to share some brush lettering basics with you today. So we'll start with our materials. First, you're going to need a brush pen. So brush pens look like this. They come in different sizes and different firmness, and the firmness of the brush pen will determine how thick and how thin your upstrokes and downstrokes can be. This one also has a bullet tip. Another thing I have is paper. This is a smooth marker paper that will help to keep the nibs of the pens from fraying. Rough paper can damage the pens easily. So now that we've gone through the materials, we'll start with the how-to of brush lettering. Your upstrokes will be thin. You'll start at the bottom of your line of your letter, and you will, with light pressure, move upwards. Anytime you're going in an upwards direction, your lines will be thin. For your downstrokes, they will be thick. You'll start at the top of your letter or your line, and you will move down with heavy pressure. Anytime you're going in a downward direction, your lines will be thick. And we'll move on to the ovals. For ovals, you either start at the top of your letter and move down and around to the left with heavy pressure, lightening up on the way around to have a thin stroke going upwards. Or you will have the downstroke on the right side and move upwards this way. And we'll move on to your overturns. For your overturns, you will connect your upstroke with your downstroke with a curve at the top. So you move up with light pressure, curve around, and go down. Start with light pressure and increase the pressure as you go into your downstroke. And for your underturns, you will start with heavy pressure and curve upwards into your upstroke, which will be thin. All right, so I switched my marker color and we're going to go into compound curves. So you'll start with light pressure, like we do for our upstrokes, curve around and go down, and then go right back up into an upstroke. And one more time. And you can also do the opposite, where you'll start with heavy pressure, go up, and go back down. And one more time. You also want to work on your ascending loops and descending loops. So for the ascending loop, you'll start at the bottom. You'll do a light upstroke, curve around, and loop around. So we're working on our ascending loops. So you'll go upwards with your light upstroke and curve around into your downstroke. You'll want to practice your basic strokes before you go into working on letters and words, just because you need to get these basics down before you can start working on words. And we'll also work on our descending loops. So for the descending loop, you'll go into your downstroke, curve around, and finish with your upstroke. And one more time. All right, those are your basic strokes. And now we can work on putting those into words. Brush lettering is really similar to cursive in the sense that your letters will connect. However, you can definitely lift up your pen before starting your next stroke. And now we'll go into working on words. So we'll start with something simple like the word hello. There's a lot of loops in this word. So you'll go with your upstroke, and this will be an ascending loop. And as you can see, I stopped. I'll pick up my pen and I'll go into my next stroke. We have an H. And again, I stopped and I picked up my pen and I'll start with the next stroke. So we're gonna go into our alphabet. I have a preference. I prefer to do lowercase, so that's what I'm gonna go through today. There are some letters that I particularly dislike, and I'll let you know when I get to those. And as you can see, these are all really simple once you know your basic strokes, which is why I suggest practicing those first before you start doing the letters. My name starts with a B, so I have a preference of how I like to do my B's. But it's all very stylistic, and you can choose however you want. For example, I'm going to add a loop onto my D, but you could just do a straight line if you don't like the loop. And that's the same with the F's. You can either have your ascending loop and your descending loop for your F's, or you can just have a straight line for your F and do that. Again, with the ascending loops and the descending loops, H is very similar to D's and B's, where you don't have to have the loop if you don't want it. It'll just be your upstrokes and your downstrokes and your overturns. And here is the descending loop for your J. K's are one of my least favorite letters to do. They're awkward a little bit, and I feel like I can never get the right size of it. But we work with what we got. L's are another one of my favorites because my middle initial starts with an L. So we have an L, M, M and N's are basically just your downstrokes and then your overturns and underturns. And your P's are one of the reasons we did the ovals both ways, because the downstroke is on this side for your P. And the Q is the opposite, which is why we do ovals both ways. R's are another letter that you can have a variation with. I like to add a little loop up top, but you can also just go up and have your R look like that. After each letter, you can see that I'm lifting up my pen, not only because I'm finishing the letter, but also because I'm finishing the stroke. Depending on the word I'm writing, I might add a little variation to my V with a loop here to loop it into the next letter. There are some words and letters that have interesting connections, and so those variations will help connect those letters. And here you have your lowercase alphabet. It's difficult to know exactly what you want to work on when you start lettering, and where I started was practicing my name. So again, I start with my B, and as you can see, I'm lifting up my pen when I finish a stroke, and then I'll start right where I picked up to continue on. So starting with your name or the names of your pets, your loved ones, your friends is a good place to start if you don't know what to letter. I particularly like lettering cards for my parents for Father's Day, Mother's Day, or their birthdays. Keeping your letters straight is something that I definitely struggle with. So I definitely want to practice with lines before I work on a blank sheet of paper. And as you can see, I messed up a little bit there, but it's okay, can't even tell. And again, here we go with a K that I don't like. How do we want to do it? Another thing that you can do if you don't have brush letters or brush pens is you can do faux calligraphy. So faux calligraphy basically is you'll start with your pen, whichever one you have, and you'll just start your cursive. And you'll write whatever you're trying to write, and then you'll go back in and thicken your downstrokes. So right here at this letter is where I'm going down, so I will thicken this downstroke and color that in. And here's an upstroke, and then here's another downstroke, so I will thicken this. And I'll color that in. And here's an upstroke. And here is another downstroke, so you'll thicken that part. Upstroke, downstroke, you'll curve around. Thicken this downstroke, go up, and thicken that downstroke. So that's a really good way to practice which strokes should be thick and which ones should be thin if you're still struggling with that as well. Thanks for watching.